Tuesday, May 6th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down a two-game NBA slate for all of us. Coming off of yesterday's upsets, the Knicks take down the Boston Celtics. The Nuggets take down the Oklahoma City Thunder. I did not see either of those two things happening. I'm not surprised by the first one. I am a little surprised by the second one. So there's that. Michael Wallace, you're killing me. You're killing me. Every day you're killing me. I love you, but you're killing me. I was light on Porzingis. It didn't really matter. I basically broke even yesterday. I mean, I had 80 or 90% of Jokic, so like that buoyed me pretty well. Just didn't have the right combination. 3 top 1%ers. Is Tibbs still getting fired? All right, let's do this. I'm gonna break down the first two games from yesterday first, and then we could talk about today. But if we're doing this, we need to really do it. If you look at that game yesterday and think, man, the Knicks played well, no. I am more confident in Boston after yesterday than I was before the game started. That is a Boston loss, 100%. 100%. The Knicks weren't good. They should have lost by 20. I don't think they have an answer to anything they want to do in this series. I have no issue whatsoever with Boston here. I tweeted it already. I'll repeat it right now. We already have shooting classifications for yesterday. Boston was 7 for 24 on wide open threes. That's nearest defender not within 6 feet. That's 29%. On open threes, that is your nearest defender within 4 to 6 feet, they were 7 for 32. That's 22%. That is 14 for 56 on open or wide open threes. And they still could have won the game pretty easily in regulation. So the Knicks could not generate offense. That didn't look very good. We could take a look at that. Yesterday, 53% effective field goal shot quality for Boston, 49.9 for the Knicks. Wow, that is not where that needs to be. Let me make it so you guys could actually see that. There we go. Boston made some shots, or the Knicks made enough shots. Boston made no shots whatsoever. And I assume Boston just beats the hell out of them, barring boatloads of misses. Like, if anybody's like, well, Cat was in foul trouble, that could change. It's like, all right, well, Porzingis played half the game. So, congrats to the Knicks for a win. A win is a win. You're happy to get them. I don't think they did anything to show me they're a better basketball team than the Boston Celtics. And I don't even think it's close. I do think we should talk a little bit about the defensive matchups that we saw yesterday, because we do have that information right now. So let's take a look at Boston and New York first. There are a couple things that I think really stood out from the matchup data yesterday. And this is the first one. Jalen Brunson's primary matchup on him yesterday was Drew Holiday. Guarded him for about 7 minutes. I mean, twice as many possessions as anybody else. Drew Holiday, when he was the primary defender, 2 of 8 from the field. The team scored 28 points on 31.8 partial possessions. That's 0.88 points per 100 possessions. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again today. I think this is a really bad series for Jalen Brunson. You don't want Drew Holiday on you like that. So I see nothing in the data for Jalen Brunson where you're like, well, we need to fix this. I have no problem with the job that Drew Holiday did. Not at all. This is the one that's interesting to me. And this was the thing that I didn't think they went to enough down the stretch. Drew Holiday's primary defender yesterday, Jalen Brunson, about 30 possessions. I think they should have been picking on Brunson for that final stretch of overtime and regulation. Team scored 37 points on 29.8 Brunson guarding possessions for Drew. That's a 124 offensive rating. If I'm Boston, I'm trying to put Brunson in everything. And Drew Holiday can handle that, or at least you're putting Brunson in the actions for a bit. So, like, oh, John, no disagreement there. They actually have to do that instead of just shoot the threes. Look, like, I don't have a huge issue with what they did yesterday in the grand scheme of things. Like, 95% of that is totally fine to me. Their half-court offense was dreadful. Now, like, here's the tricky part for me, and this is where I struggle to reconcile some of this stuff. And I think it just sort of comes down to, like, not trying to get a better shot. Like, I don't really have too many. Like, obviously, a couple of those late game possessions for Boston weren't great. But at the same time, they were generating wide open and open looks over and over and over again, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, because if you have Jalen Brunson on the floor and Karl Anthony Towns on the floor, your defense isn't going to be as good. This is incredibly obvious stuff we've known forever. If you're getting open looks, like, yeah, that's not a huge issue. You want those, but holy shit, down the stretch, somebody penetrate to the rim and get them moving. Like, yes, you're generating a good look. Yes, you're generating an open look. But at the same time, like, give yourself a little bit of help. But as I'm looking at this series now, I have no idea what Boston can bring to, or what New York can bring to the table. But in terms of, like, defensive matchups, I didn't see anything. Boston's defense looked great. You know, we saw down the stretch, you see Drew Holiday on Brunson here, but down the stretch, they were isolating the Knicks offense was trying to get Horford onto Brunson, and Boston's fine with that. I'm fine. Like, everybody should be fine with that. He hit one in Horford's mug and there was nothing Horford could do, but, like, it's not like Boston is upset about a Horford on Brunson situation. So for right now, the way that I'm looking at this series, I got nothing. Boston rolls. They're going to have to shoot, like, next level shit for that to not continue. And I just don't see that happening. Denver and OKC, however, have a couple different things that I find pretty interesting in the tracking data. You know, Greg and I talked about it on Live Before Lock and Playback, but, like, if you're going to get Denver beating OKC, it's happening on the back of Jokic having 40 and 20. Like, every bit of that has to happen for that to happen. There are a couple things that I saw in the matchup data for OKC and Denver that I'm interested in. This is the first one. Chet Holmgren was the most frequent defender of Nikola Jokic. 7.5 minutes for Chet, 4.5 for Isaiah Hartenstein. I didn't expect that matchup in game one. I didn't like that matchup in game one, and it did not go well in game one. Jokic, 8 of 13 from the field on Chet, 46 team points on 36 possessions. I don't like the Chet matchup. I don't know why you wouldn't want Chet to be your help when Jokic has the ball. To me, in this scenario, they need to be looking at Lou Dort for Nikola Jokic to move those matchups around. Hartenstein's fine. Like, we know what he's out there to do in defending Jokic. But my expectation for game two is that we don't see anything remotely close to this much Chet Holmgren on Nikola Jokic. That's the immediate first move that I make is having Chet not on Jokic and being the help defense. That's too many possessions, and I think that takes away Chet from his best role. Dirtio, only team equipped to stop playoff Jokic are the Wolves. No. All right, next up, and this one made me feel pretty good. Jamal Murray, close to 8 minutes of Lou Dort, 3.5 minutes of Case and Wallace. Not nearly as much of Caruso as I expected. 5 of 15 from the field against those three guys. You know, less than a point per minute for Jamal Murray. I don't like the matchup for Murray. I still don't like the matchup for Murray. It's never going to get any better. Michael, please, I'm begging you. Can you give this nonsense a rest? It's every day with this shit. Seriously. I don't give a fuck about your Lakers, man. Not a single bit. Did a couple other interesting defensive matchups in this one. So we could also pivot these guys a little bit here. Shea was the primary matchup on Christian Brown. Not that surprises me at all. Shea off ball is sort of where you want him. So I understand why we're dropping Shea here onto Christian Brown, and I think that's fine. But that is another spot where I would like to hide Chet and move Shea elsewhere, if possible. There's one other thing I wanted to show. And this one, to me, is sort of like the one we looked at in the other game for Boston and for New York. Lou Dort had Jamal Murray as the primary matchup. It didn't go well. You know, Dort missed all 3 threes that he had. The team didn't perform very well in those spots. I think Dort's got to be attacking Jamal Murray a little bit more there. I think he has the ability to do that. So if you're going to get Murray on Dort, I think you might see a little bit more offense out of Dort in game 2. It's not too much else to look at that I thought was interesting. You know, Aaron Gordon, Jalen Williams, that's exactly what you're expecting. Russ had Caruso as the primary man for a bit. Sure. I mean, obviously Caruso had a good spot. Check out Caruso's obviously Caruso's just everywhere he can be. He was the closest defender to Jokic more frequently than not. I think he's a little small for that role and not stout enough, and that's why I think it should be Dort a bit more. Unsurprisingly, Jokic is hanging out on Hartenstein as much as he possibly can. I do think it's interesting to see this. They're not getting too crazy with Jokic. It's either the bigs or they're hiding him on the non-offensive guards like Caruso and Dort. It all makes sense. If you're not getting 40 and 20 out of Jokic, I don't think we're going to be seeing that all that frequently from Denver. Why didn't Chet take advantage of the MPJ matchup? I mean, he didn't have him all that much. He took advantage of the Jamal Murray matchup, that's for sure. 3 possessions where Murray got switched on to Chet Holmgren, 3 for 3 from the field. But either way, look, congrats to the Knicks. Congrats to the Nugs. You did what you needed to do. You got wins. I don't think either team has a prayer in this series, barring injuries. But they got what they needed to do. Very intrigued by what Game 2 looks like here. But now we move on to today. So guys, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. We've got Pacers Cavs Game 2. We've got Golden State and Minnesota Game 1. Coach Chris, the only prayer that Denver has is Nikola Jokic having the greatest series in the history of basketball. That's it. That's the only thing that exists. It's Jokic or nothing. It's Jokic or nothing. Since we didn't do this yesterday, I think that we should probably do a little bit of it today. So I'm going to hop over to the defensive matchups from Game 1 for Cleveland. Because there's a couple things that I see here that I'm intrigued to see if we think they change. Oh, I forgot. Wait. Forgot I brought out a coffee up here. All right. Let's take a look at some of these defensive matchups from Game 1 of Indy Cleveland. Now, 2 caveats here. Caveat number 1. Darius Garland didn't play in the first game, so we might see this look a little bit different when it's Garland. 2, Evan Mobley's questionable, DeAndre Hunter's questionable, and Darius Garland is questionable today. So we don't even really know who's playing for Cleveland. And I'll say this, when I did the projections this morning, I didn't get the feeling like everybody was in. Some of these guys were juiced a bit more than I was expecting, Ty Jerome in particular. I don't care about it right now. Like, we're going to get this new, it's the first game, so it's not super important to me. But just quick reminder, Cleveland has 3 guys questionable today. Okay, so here we go. What site is this? NBA.com. The elusive NBA.com. So there were a couple spots that I saw here that stood out to me like crazy. This one should stand out to everybody when I click on it. The top 3 defenders on Tyrese Halliburton in Game 1 were Max Strus, Sam Merrill, and Ty Jerome. Now, there's obviously, there can be quirks in the data, but I'm going to let you guys know a little secret. If Max Strus, Sam Merrill, and Ty Jerome are the defenders on Tyrese Halliburton, he's going to beat the shit out of Cleveland because those guys aren't good. Defensively, that is. So I don't know what the fix is. I actually went back and watched the possessions against Jared Allen because he was just getting, like, Jared Allen was getting him on a switch. He lost him twice. Halliburton had, like, open looks. He cooked him on that final play with a step through where he looked like he was going to go off the glass to himself, but it went. Couple were like solid defense from Jared Allen, but I don't think like Cleveland was stoked with the way that Allen lost him a little bit. I didn't like this series for Allen to begin with, so we'll see what that ends up looking like. But I mean, Cleveland right out of the gate, I don't think that you could be approaching this game thinking, you know, 70% of the defense on Tyrese Halliburton should be coming from Strus, Merrill, and Jerome. Like, that's poor allocation. Cleveland has good defenders. Why are you guarding the best player on the team with your worst defenders? You have dudes that can do this job. So I don't get this, but that desperately needs to change if Cleveland wants to wake up. Now, maybe that all changes if Garland is in. I don't know. But a couple other things that I wanted to touch on here that I thought were pretty interesting. Donovan Mitchell's primary matchup was Andrew Nembhard. Obviously, Mitchell 1 of 10 with Nembhard on him in that primary spot. I mean, he couldn't buy a bucket. I probably should go back and look at those. The interesting thing to me here does Andrew Nembhard continue that matchup if Darius Garland is back? To me, the answer is no. In my mind, Nembhard would go to Garland in this scenario. But I would expect Donovan Mitchell to win this battle more frequently. He certainly didn't win it in game 1. I think he would. A couple other things that I thought were a little interesting here. We'll touch on them. You know, Siakam was kind of just spread out with the bigs. No surprises there. Turner, again, spread out with the bigs. Nembhard had it the opposite way. Primary matchup was Mitchell, but you were getting Merrill and Jerome. I don't think Nembhard's going to be looking for it too much if he's going to be leaning defense in this series. No surprise, Mobley had Siakam. That matchup's not really going to go anywhere. They did keep Miles Turner on Jared Allen, which I thought was interesting. But I guess, you know, like, what else were they going to do? But I'm intrigued by what happens if Garland is back. Because I think that Andrew Nembhard defensive matchup is going to have to move to Garland. And if that's the case, then I'm guessing we get Aaron Nesmith to Mitchell. But they were really using Nesmith in situations I wouldn't expect. Jordan Klein in the house. What up, brother? Talking about you yesterday. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk through rotations and things we've seen because I think that's the most important stuff when we're trying to hash out these series. Like, for Indy Cleveland, from a DFS perspective, I don't really have a ton to say right now. 1, Cleveland's got 3 Q tags, and 2, we've seen this series already. I don't have generally DFS takes in these scenarios. We'll probably spend a little bit more time on Golden State and Minnesota. The problem with Mathurin, Marcus, is that he's not any good. I think that's probably the issue. So I got my sim running right now. You guys can wait on that one. I'll get those exposures. All right, perfect. Lineups are done. Let me export these into my sheet. We can talk about what I'm getting to start the day at least. Don't forget, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Got a lot of content coming up for the rest of today. All right, lineups are done. Let's see. What do I have to start the day? Here we go. Exposures are on the screen. So first draft for me, I've got, well, very little Aaron Nesmith. Your 2 high, well, let's say your 4 highest guys for Indy are all right at 30%. Mathurin, Turner, Siakam, and Halliburton. I am under on Halliburton, about there on Siakam, neutral Turner, neutral Mathurin. Holy shit, Benedict Mathurin's 3,500 today? What? Okay, I mean, that's an issue. Look, I don't exactly think this is a Benedict Mathurin series, but he's 3,500? Why? Why is Benedict Mathurin 30 whatever 100? Okay, so look, like there's nothing you could do there for a guard forward Mathurin. That's just going to be good value all day today. You can't dodge that. I mean, that price is silly. Now, like I don't like him as a person in terms of like a guy I like in basketball, but I mean, Coach Chris, I don't know. It's the site. It's not. These are not my everything that's on the screen are the site projections. I think he's just usually over-owned. But if they're going to keep guarding him with Max Strus and Ty Jerome, then he's probably going to look better. Happy to get to Nembhard at 5,500, but I am a little bit nervous about his offense. I certainly am very happy to be light on Aaron Nesmith. And if I'm going to be light on Nesmith, then I'm happy to have that Mathurin exposure. But game 2 after Cleveland lost, this strikes me as a game that Aaron Nesmith is in foul trouble early. Like, tight whistle, gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar. You know, another one at the rim, and then he's sitting. It's a Sandberg. It's a La Colombe Mocha Cold Brew. It won't focus, but either way, La Colombe. I just get a 12-pack of them delivered from Amazon every 2 weeks. Siakam just continues to be like a totally uninteresting guy. Like yeah, he's in 25 to 30% of my stuff, and I never know where I have him. Yeah, Doc, they're based out of Philly. Jake, sorry you don't like drinking delicious things. Steven says, geez, make your own cold brew. Steven, does that seem like something that I want to do regularly? It's not that I don't. I have 2 different vessels where I can make it in bulk, like 120 ounces at a time. I've got the I don't know if is it OXO or OXO? I don't know the proper way to say that. I've only ever read it. I have their thing, and then like I've got a pitcher one. The problem is I can't make it taste as good. And I don't want to do like the R&D of making fucking 20 coffees and testing it with different cream, sugar, brown sugar ratios. So they just show up on my doorstep every 2 weeks and I call it a day. Hey, Nick, I had a buddy of mine was working there last year. 2 years ago? Somewhere in the last 2 years. Graphics department. Wasn't there long. 6 months to a year. Trevor, I will be in a different house this weekend. Can I look at Mobley on-off rates? Sure. We got to remember how there's an important piece of Garland that's relevant here. Let me pull that up first. Wowie combinations. Because we got to remember, Cleveland, their 4-man dudes have specific pairs. So if we look at Mobley, Allen, Mitchell, and Garland, there's going to be something that jumps out to you guys here. No, I'm not squatting. Saturday is my 11th wedding anniversary, so we're going away for the weekend. For anybody that's been watching, we go to this island that's like 40 minutes from us. We go pretty regularly. I did shows there earlier this year, but we're going for like 2 or 3 days just to get away because Saturday's my anniversary. Okay, look at this here. So Cleveland has pairs here, and these guys are with each other a lot more than they're not. Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell are a pair. Darius Garland and Jared Allen are a pair. And they don't really flip-flop those pairs a lot, or at least they haven't during the regular season. So you see, like, when Mobley and Mitchell were on, but Jared Allen and Garland were off, 700 minutes, 12.5 net rating. Look at it, though, the same way. When it's Allen and Garland on and Mobley and Mitchell off, again, 11.5% or 11.5 point net rating, 600 possessions. Regardless of what two-man combo these guys are putting out there, they work. And I think that's the biggest issue for Cleveland right now. Without Darius Garland, we lose the Jared Allen-Garland combo that's been exceptional so far this year. Like, Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell have only played 91 minutes this year with Mobley and Garland off. They just don't do these things. Like, they are uniquely set up to need those four guys in their own combinations, because over the past whatever years, they've figured out who works better together. Sam, thanks. Thanks, all you guys. Thanks. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, man, 11 years is crazy. Been together for 16, but we got married in 2014. Sotex, congrats, man. Yeah, my parents made it to like 37 or 38 or something like that before my mom passed. So got a lot to run them down, that's for sure. But anyway, thanks for the prompt on this one, Doc, because that's the first thing I wanted to point out. What we're really missing out on is the Garland-Allen combo when Mitchell and Mobley are off the floor. But we can go through this a little bit. So the first thing we want to do is narrow this down to only guys that are going to play. So let's get Mitchell, Allen, Strus, Hunter, Garland, Jerome, Wade, Okoro, Merrill, Mobley. Those are the only guys that are going to step foot on the floor today. That's the one we want. And we want to say exactly 5 of those guys on the floor. A lot of May marriages. Love you guys. Hey, Doc, that's fun. DFS PhD says, wow, we have the exact same relationship stats. July 4th, though, free fireworks. Oddly enough, that's the day we met. That's our anchor point. July 4th, 2009. And we met total strangers that night, and we watched fireworks. So we do have a little bit more crossover than even what you just mentioned. All right, so these are the on the floor numbers for everybody on Cleveland. No other interesting stuff. It's every time their playoff rotation, we're all 5 guys on the floor for this season. I think this helps to inform a little bit what people's rates do. So you wanted to see Evan Mobley on off? Perfect. So Evan Mobley, 22.8% usage rate, 63.5% true shooting in these scenarios. When Evan Mobley comes off the floor, let's see who sees an impact. We've got Darius Garland at 25% usage. We've got Mitchell at 31. And more importantly, this one's going to be the one that I'm interested in. We've got Jared Allen, 11.1 defensive rebounds per 100 possessions, 4.5 offense. If I take Mobley off, 11, 1, and 4 something, Allen gains 1.3 rebounds per 100 possessions and sees a pretty sizable bump to offensive rebounding as well. So not that any of that is surprising. I'm sure you guys completely understand that when Evan Mobley comes off the floor, Jared Allen gets more rebounds. Seems pretty reasonable. If we go back to the scoring side of it, though, with Mobley off, we see Garland comes up a little bit in usage. But look at this. In this scenario, we only have 220. Oh, you can't even see it on the screen. My bad. There we go. In this scenario, we only have 225 minutes where Donovan Mitchell was on the floor with the rest of this playoff rotation without Evan Mobley. 32% usage in that time. 45% true shooting. Interesting. But yeah, it's clearly a rebounding bump to Allen that I think makes a lot of sense. But I don't want to dig into it too much just because we still have two more other guys that might not play today. So let me just sum up Indy quick so I can put this one to bed. I don't have like crazy hot takes for this series. I like the Cleveland side a lot today in game 2. That should not be all that surprising. I do really like Indy. I liked them before the series. I thought the line was too high. I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger. They're interesting. But I assume Cleveland gets the win, depending on the injury status, obviously. But I don't have a major stand on the Pacers, and I'm not surprised by that. On FanDuel, they're a little bit more owned. Halliburton's close to 50%. Turner's 35%. Siakam's 30%. Nembhard's 30%. I like getting to Indy, but I am a little nervous because I think Cleveland wins this game. I will say the Pacers are the second lowest owned team, only behind the Warriors. And it's 50-50 in public ownership right now across both games. Oh, yeah, look, if the Cavs are missing one of Garland or Mobley here, they're in real trouble. Like, I never have the guts to pull the trigger on Indy because they don't spend enough money. If we're being perfectly honest, like they have done everything possible to maximize this team with one of the worst owners in basketball. And that makes it tricky for the Pacers for me to ever really like them long term. Because they don't spend. They won't spend, they won't pay the tax. So it's situations like that where I find my trust lacking in the playoffs. But right now they have the rotation that is great. So this could be a very interesting game if Cleveland lose some people. Now on the Cleveland side, I'm just not going to spend any time breaking this down. I don't think there's any value in that. I mean, look at the ownership if everybody's in right now. 25 Garland, 30 Mitchell, 30 Strus, 30 Mobley, 30 Allen, 25 Hunter, 25 Jerome. Garland questionable, Mobley questionable, Hunter questionable. What can I add at 10 o'clock in the morning? Nothing to me. I don't think I have anything to add here. This is going to be a live before lock show for sure. And like every one of these things has a trickle down. If Evan Mobley sits, then we're probably like, we might look at Tristan Thompson at min salary. Dean Wade becomes a thing. Isaac Okoro becomes a thing. Look, I said it before game 1. They didn't really need to do it, but I'm going to say it again. Look, the problem is Indy won't guard him. But if you're going to be guarding Tyrese Halliburton with Max Strus, Ty Jerome, and Sam Merrill, then maybe you want to test out Isaac Okoro. That's why you have him. But it might not matter. I mean, if 2 of these guys are out, we're going to have to play those guys. But for right now, I mean, we got 100 minutes questionable. We need the news. We'll break it all down on live before lock. Probably do Golden State, Minnesota first to wait out that Cleveland Indy news. But speaking of schedule, let me tell you guys what we got going on. Lofty's up next. MLB strategy show at 11 a.m. MLB live before lock with Greg and Bellman is going to be at 5. Don't miss that show. If you're not watching Matt Bellman every day talk about baseball, you must hate money. I think Bellman's up like $25 million in the start of this baseball season. Every time I open up Twitter, he has another $20,000 in his account. So good for him. Watch MLB Live Before Lock. NBA Live Before Lock with myself and Eric at 6. And then Greg and I will be live on playback at 7 p.m. Watching the games, checking out this Indy Cleveland game. Let's hop over to Golden State and Minnesota. First game of the series. Warriors coming in off of game 7. Minnesota. I know people love them here. I want to point out one thing right now so that everybody sees it and we can have this conversation, because this is basically how I felt about the Pacers against Cleveland. And I sat here like a giant pussy not doing anything about it. Well, get ready, everybody, because I'm going to sit here and be a giant pussy once again. The line is 7. I've got it at 1. You guys want to add any details about what you think about what I just said? The line is 7. I've got Golden State plus 1. Now, that's scary. It's scary. But I don't think that's crazy. Let's do this. Let's do a little thought exercise quickly, just for a second. If we compare the best player on both teams, we're comparing Steph and Ant. Now, I know a lot of people are going to want to say Ant. I think there's going to be some people that say Steph. I think the easiest thing to say here is that that is a wash. You certainly would not, like, obviously I know like this Steph thumb stuff. Let's ignore that for a second. Ultimately, what we're saying here is, look, if Steph Curry plays like Steph Curry and the Warriors won this series, no one's going to be shocked by that. So I'm going to say Steph and Ant wash. Who's the second best player on the Warriors? Who's the second best player on Minnesota? Chat, let me know. I assume the answer right now is going to be Jimmy Butler. Doc, you're getting there. If we're going to say that it's Randall, I'm pretty sure universally this chat's going to say Butler's better than Randall. Especially in the playoffs. Look, like, say what you like. I can say what I want about Butler, but it's not all that often that you see a team be a sizable underdog like this when they have an argument of having the two best players in the series. Like, if you rank that, Steph, Ant, Butler, Randall, I think the Warriors are getting a little bit of a lack of respect. However, I think the problem lies in the Warriors bench, and I think the problem lies a little bit in Steve Kerr. I unequivocally trust Chris Finch in this series more than I trust Steve Kerr. As I'm looking at the Warriors right now, we have 30% ownership coming into their main 3 guys. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Right around the field on Butler and Green. A little bit under on Steph for right now. I'll take any piece of those 3 guys. We've got Butler ranked 4th on DraftKings. We've got Curry ranked 7th. On FanDuel, Curry's 50% owned because he's $400 cheaper. Butler is 44% owned. He gets an MPE. He gets small forward, power forward eligible. And then Draymond is $500 cheaper. So these guys look a lot better on FanDuel. We got Gary Payton questionable. Don't know what's going to happen there. Buddy Hield coming in off of his Game 7 hero ship. 4,200 shooting guard, small forward, 25% owned. I'm clearly under the field here. I don't know what their starting lineup's going to be. You know, this is a new series. All bets are off from everything we saw before. Could this be more of a Looney series, more of a post series? Completely different. We need to throw out everything we knew about Houston and focus on Minnesota. I mean, Buddy Hield is terrifying. Now that the price is a little higher, I don't like it. If Peyton's playing, I'm a little interested. They're certainly going to fire him out there at Ant for a bit. He couldn't guard Fred VanVleet, so we'll see how that ends up. Moody is fully dependent on the rest of these guys. Is Hield not making it? That's a benefit to Moody. Is Gary Payton out? That's a benefit to Moody. Moody is tricky. I think the way you feel about Gary Payton and Buddy Hield dictates what you do with Moody. Like, if you look at it and you're like, well, Hield's not doing that again, and I don't trust Payton's health, then you have to like Moody at 3,300 guard forward. Pods is just there. Pods is like the guard version of Pascal Siakam for the Warriors. I just assume he's going to be like 20 to 25% owned and play 30-something minutes. I'm nervous about Steph. This is not great for him, although we'll see what happens defensively. Well, you can see from my exposures, I don't exactly have any sort of wild stands. Most of my exposure is coming into Minnesota. They are my most exposed team right now. But I'm certainly willing to dodge this Golden State bench malarkey, that Peyton, Hield, Moody trio. But this is right here is what I think is the most interesting thing. Quentin Post and Kevon Looney. Now that we're in a new series, I'm intrigued by what this looks like. Because if you have Post out there when Gobert's out there, then Post is probably getting guarded by someone else. And Gobert is probably hiding on Peyton, probably. Like when Gary Payton's on the floor and when Rudy Gobert's on the floor, I would expect Rudy Gobert to be exclusively on Gary Payton. That would be my guess for like the most possessions guarded of Gary Payton if he plays today. If it's not Rudy Gobert, I'd be shocked. If it's not Rudy Gobert, it's some other slow dude that doesn't play defense. I think this could be an interesting spot for Post. Like, who's guarding Post? Fucking Conley? It's all weird. It's all weird. I'd like to like Steph more. I just don't trust his thumb. To me, this feels like the ultimate Jimmy Butler game. You get Butler going back to Minnesota. Like, if Towns were there, this would be really interesting. But I'm sure Butler really wants to give Minnesota the business. Christopher, is Pod not going to start? Did I miss something? He hasn't been starting. He hasn't started in 3 games. Now, he could start today. I don't have a... Look, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green are going to start. I don't have a clue who the other 2 dudes are. Seems like it's going to be Buddy Hield. Be weird to take him out. 5th starter could be anybody. Oh, yeah. John, that's a good point. When Peyton was out, Pods started. I forgot Peyton was out. If Peyton's in, I don't expect Pods. My bad. I forgot Peyton was out in Game 7. I shouldn't forget it. It happened while I was live. Completely forgot that Peyton was out in Game 7, which got Pods that start. When no one was out, they moved Pods out of there. And I think if no one's out today, they do the same thing. What do you guys like from Golden State before I hop over to Minnesota? Well, I'm going to hop over to Minnesota now. Actually, before I hop to Minnesota, you guys want to talk about a little bit of a promo for you guys? I got a promo for you. You interested in Portfolio EV? Oddshopper.com. Let's see if we have any bets first, and then I'll let you guys know the promo. Oddshopper.com and the Portfolio EV tool. If you want to take a market-based approach to beating the books and the pick'em sites, I got it on the screen right now. And we got a bunch of bets available if you're looking for them. Donovan Mitchell under points on NoVig. Jerome, Naz Reid, Mike Conley under threes on NoVig. Ant under 40.5 PRA on Fanatics. You can get all of these bets from the Portfolio EV tool at OddsShopper, and you can get it for 75% off if you use the promo code Bing Bong. Knicks picked up the win against the Celtics yesterday. We got to celebrate. The promo code is Bing Bong. One big word, BINGBONG. We're celebrating the Knicks. 75% off Portfolio EV. Go to oddshopper.com. Click the link in the description of this video. That's all you have to do. You want to do that? Sign up for Portfolio EV. Doesn't get any easier than that, guys. 75% off. Let's see. I think I could trigger that too. Maybe not. Can I copy that? I can. Sweet. Copy. Paste. And click that link to sign up if you want to. Use the promo code BINGBONG, BINGBONG, 75% off this, the Portfolio EV tool at oddshopper.com. Sportsbooks or pick'em sites, parlay builders, odds boost calculators, mass bets, mobile bets, whatever you're looking for. We got to celebrate the Knicks. So, bing bong, ladies and gentlemen. Bing bong. And if you don't want to spend if you want the 75% off deal, you could also do this. There's a link in the description. Sign up through one of our affiliates. Get a month of Portfolio EV. No cost. You won't pay us a cent. You'll get it for free as long as you sign up through one of our affiliates. All right, Minnesota. 50% ownership coming into Anthony Edwards right now, the highest owned guy for Minnesota and my highest owned player at 80%. Julius Randle, 35% owned at 7,500. He's in 66% of my lineups. Number 2 guy in the boom bust tool. My second most exposed guy. I'm jamming Minnesota. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really don't. Because I think Golden State is underrepresented in this series. And if I'm right, I think I'm boosting Minnesota more than I want to. Now, from a DFS perspective, I won't do shit about this. But I am saying I feel a little heavy. However, $9,400 Ant with an MPE, I'm going to keep that. Whether I like Minnesota or not. Same for Randall. On the FanDuel side, you've got 60% ownership coming into Ant. He's still number 1. McDaniels and Randall are both at 40. DiVincenzo and Gobert are in the 30s. Same situation on the DraftKings side. We got to remember this is a new series, so Rudy Gobert is a different person. I think he's very interesting based on the health of Steph, because the more Steph is out of this, the better it is for Rudy Gobert. I'm going to say this again so everybody understands. Rudy Gobert's problem in the playoffs is not defense. He's actually pretty damn good in isolation against guards. Better than most people you'd find that play his position. The problem for Rudy Gobert in the playoffs is offense. Offense. I think they can get by against Golden State in these scenarios. But remember, it's not defense, it's offense that's Rudy Gobert's problem. But in this series, I think he's going to be okay. Because really the only threat is Steph. And I don't know how right he is. So I'm happy to be neutral on Gobert. I think he could look a little bit better in this series than he did against Houston. DiVincenzo's a guy. Naz Reid's a guy. Naz Reid's props, oddly a little low for today. I think that says a lot about Rudy Gobert for this matchup. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 3,200, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Pretty reasonable value for me. I don't have any problem with that. Could always play his way into more minutes. You know, if the offense is fine for Minnesota, then you probably see a little less DiVincenzo and a little bit more Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there causing havoc against Steph. This game's going to make or break everything. Because I like Golden State, but I am jamming Minnesota. Let's see what we end up with if we build some lineups. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. The Czar is in the building, and the Czar is about to build a DraftKings lineup and a FanDuel lineup. So here we go. And also, let me open back something else. Not that you guys care. All right, here we go. DraftKings lineup. We're going to go Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter. Cool. Just putting in all the guys that I don't think are going to play today. Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels. I mean, look at the center situation today. 35% owned, 32, 32, 28, 30, 32. And they're all separated by 0.2 of a point of value. The hell do I do with that? None of these guys look good. I guess I'll take Draymond here. Leaves me 3 spots. Complete the lineup with Ant, Butler, and Gobert. See how we do. $51.7. Oh, 43.5. Okay. All right. So we're going to pull Ant, Butler, Gobert. Draymond was the last guy in. I'm going to go a different direction there. What happens if I skip Draymond and go Jared Allen? Then it fills with Edwards, Randall, Turner, $100 left over, 62.2. $43.6. All right, look, that's 2 different lineups. DraftKings built into the mid 40s. I can't be too mad there. I think we're going to take that as a dub on the DraftKings side, considering we have all these Q tags. Let's try FanDuel now. The easier one. I'm just going to even say it now. I'm not even going to build it yet. 89.8 is what this is going to be. Here we go. Right away, Miles Turner in. And then Julius Randle in. Siakam in. Nembhard. Donovan Mitchell. DeAndre Hunter. We complete it with Conley, Edwards, McDaniels. No money left on the table. I'm a loser till I win the millie. That's a big guess. I hope you're right. How'd we do? Nembhard, Conley, Edwards, Mitchell, McDaniels, Hunter, Randall, Siakam, Turner, 82.9. Yeah, well, I was pretty damn close. I went 89.8. First of all, knocked it out of the park on FanDuel right out of the gate. 0.3% win rate, 2.4% top 10, 37% cash rate. Not too shabby, folks. Not too shabby. Another one in the books. Guys, thank you for being here. Fun NBA strategy show. We broke down some stuff. We'll dig deep tomorrow into defensive matchups, things we see from game 2 of Indy and Cleveland, game 1 of Golden State and Minnesota. Go watch all of the rest of our content for the rest of today and enjoy yourselves. Have an outstanding Tuesday. Guys, do me a favor. Go tell Laffy I said hi.